Say that again.
Your bed has to be made.
By law.
Hey, sir, go ahead and take your book back.
Say that again.
Take your book back. I'll provide you with the information on it. Don't worry.
And you're gonna write me up on that too, ain't you?
I need your registration.
You took my book with you.
Okay, is your insurance card new as well?
Yes, sir. Okay. You got it all with you.
Oh my God. Yo, when I first saw this video, I was thinking that like the bed maybe it was some type of Southern slang for like the bed in the trunk. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe he's hauling something, you know, and maybe, you know, he's got the flap open, or, you know, maybe something's going to fall out of the truck and the cop's just looking out. And I kept watching. No. Literally, your bed in the back of the car must be made.
And if my bed's not made, which my bed's not made, you gonna write me up for that, officer?
You gonna give me your stuff?
Yes, sir, I'm working on it. Yes, sir, I'm working on it right now. Hold on a minute.
I guess it's some type of fire hazard because, you know, while you're driving, you could also somehow be in the bed, you know, because, you know, those two things first and foremost aren't possible. But, you know, just in case, or perhaps it may be that if the bed isn't made, the pillows and the covers could, like, you know, tumble and fall and then block the windshield, and then you would, you know, like skirt and then like crash and then cause like a huge just highway buildup. Or maybe the sheets could spontaneously combust. I don't know exactly what it's supposed to be, but this really took me for a spin. I gotta tell you that. Now, I'll be one to tell you, you know what I'm saying? Like, I joke all the time. You know, I'm a very light-skinned black man, very light-skinned. I'm biracial, but, you know, I'm black and white, very light-skinned. But, that being said, I don't talk back to cops because I'm also 6'6" and 220 pounds and very athletic. So, you know, I'm not trying to get beat up. But if a police officer was talking about the bed in the back needs to be made, and you looked at it, it was just, you know, the sheets were a little tucked back. But, you know, I would be like, officer, are you serious? Like, what are you really pulling me over for? What's really going on? You're trying to get your quotas. I don't know. Like, he could have came up with something better than that. Maybe he could have just said, we're looking for somebody. This car fit the description. It's not you. Good day. That would have been better, because then at least it would have been like, well, I got pulled over. It was inconvenient, but I guess at least it was for something. But the bed not being made, oh, that's...
So my bed has to be made
Messaging.
by some law somewhere, right, officer?
I'll tell you what, I'll go back and I'll look it up.
Yeah.
I'll show it to you. How about that?
And then the part that killed me the most is he pointed to the back and he was like, you know what? I'll go to the car. I'll look it up in the computer and I'll come back and I'll tell you. So it's like, my brother, if you didn't really know exactly what law it was, you had to go look it up, then that's a good indication that it's not a law. Why would that be a law? Why would it be a law? And if you don't know exactly what it is, and why are you pulling people over for it? You're just pulling people over for things that I think maybe, you know, 7 years ago in the academy when I read X, Y, and Z, you know, I think I remember that. So let me go ahead and pull you over, run your plates and all that stuff, because it's something that I potentially remember. But as we know, the mind plays tricks. I don't know why this police officer pulled him over, but again, it's like, dude, you could have come up with a better lie than that. But this is indeed the world we live in. But shout out to the cops out there that are actually, you know, trying to make a difference in their community, because I know it's very difficult when we live in just the system that we live in. And, you know, but guys like this, at least he wasn't shooting somebody up. But, man, what a deal.
Do you have ID?
Am I being detained?
You are now, yeah.
Okay, wonderful. That's all I needed to hear. And so you guys don't have body cams? Why is that?
I don't have them.
Why is that? You should know, right?
I'm an officer. I'm not managing that. I don't have. So, what was your purpose in coming today?
To hand out waters and to make people happy.
Ma'am, real quick, like it's we got called out, right? When people are chalking, it's state property. So if that happens, I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's a misdemeanor. If you pick a rose right there because it's on state property, the law is a misdemeanor. So hold on, let me talk, okay? I know that you want to tell us what to do and how to do our job.
I'm not. I'm asking
I'm just explaining, but you're
You have
stepping
from the
over
beginning.
us.
I'm asking questions.
Yes, we're asking questions.
And I also am. I'm not
Do you want me to
telling
finish where I was
to.
going? I was trying to be
Sure.
super polite.
Taxpayer-funded officers are solving big crimes in Sacramento these days while playing the victim.
Sure, and I also am. But
Okay.
go ahead.
So let us, like, it's gonna go nowhere, right? But when our supervisor says that they've on viewed vandalism, which it is,
Sure.
we have to make contact. We have to do our job,
Great.
and it'll be done and over. Just like less attitude is better for everybody, right?
I'm answering your questions.
Okay.
I don't have to answer them
You weren't
nicely.
answering my questions.
I actually
You
was.
refused. You
No, I was
refused.
asking you
Okay,
questions.
I'm telling you, you refused.
And then this dude throws a hissy fit prolonging this woman's detainment.
I didn't refuse.
That's why I
I
required
asked
your
you.
ID.
I asked you why you needed to see my ID, and I asked you if I was being detained, and you said yes. So I immediately pulled out my ID. I didn't refuse.
Okay, you did.
As we all saw roughly 1 minute ago, this is not true, but carry on.
Which part
Which part?
did I refuse?
When I asked you for your ID, you refused.
I asked you why, and I asked you, am I
I'm
being
telling you,
detained?
you refused.
What
Period.
part of that is refusal?
When you didn't give it to me when I asked.
I asked if I was being detained. That's not refusal. It's a question. I have the right to ask you if I'm being detained before you ask for my ID. Before I give you my ID. Excuse me.
Ladies and gents, this is a polarizing example of where your money is going.
I'd like to bring you to speed because you came in a little bit late here.
Ma'am, if you
I'm
don't want us
actually
here-
talking. I'm actually
Yeah,
talking
I know, you
for
talked
sure.
over me many times.
So am I?
Here's your driver's license.
So I
You're
can't.
free to go.
Okay,
If you don't want us
wonderful.
here, you can leave.
Thank
Please don't
you.
talk.
As the caption read from the uploader Sevi Wild, after being threatened with arrest and gaslighted for 30 minutes, they kept me for another 15 minutes after this with more threats of arrest, and then rode by our youth multiple times to re-traumatize them. Now, there's a few points to make here, and the first is by far beyond the most troubling. In June of 2022, the Sacramento City Council approved a $1.4 billion budget for the upcoming fiscal year, including another record-high police department spending plan. The totals are devastating. The approved $224 million police budget rose from the $207 million amended budget for the current financial year ending June 30th, city documents show. That Sacramento police budget set the previous record and was an about $9 million increase compared to the year before when approved. One of the greatest shooters of all time, NBA Hall of Famer Reggie Miller, retweeted the following: "What is Sacramento police doing about this? She's broken no laws. Chalk is not vandalism in California, which we'll get to in a moment. Why aren't your officers better trained in the laws of the state? There was zero justification for this encounter, and these two should be fired immediately." Now, as it comes to this guy saying that what these outreach workers did was a misdemeanor, well, a California court disagrees with him. In 2013, Jeff Olson was arrested after he wrote adverse statements aimed at Bank of America on the sidewalk at several of its locations. His artwork included statements such as, "Not thanks, big banks," accompanied by drawings of an octopus reaching for dollar bills. Bank of America's vice president, Daryl Freeman, complained to the deputy city attorney and the San Diego gang unit, which ultimately led to the vandalism charges. So he's a narc. B of A claimed that it cost them $6,000 to remove the chalk drawing. $6,000? Just a quick question for everybody watching this piece. Does it take $6,000 to remove drawings like this? Come on. Turns out the jury dismissed the vandalism charges against Mr. Olson. He was acquitted on July 1st, 2013 of all 13 counts of vandalism. He faced 13 counts, which could have resulted in 13 years locked up or fines of $13,000. The fact that someone drew chalk and could have got 13 years is a problem. The fact that these two ladies were in a park doing outreach and drawing rainbows with chalk even got to the point of detainment is preposterous. Yet if you want to see the biggest waste of taxpayer money, look no further than police precincts across the country.